Hey guys, SRM sent me their new Bushcut fixed blade knife and asked me to test it out. At $69.95, will it outshine other bushcraft budget contenders? Let's get it measured up and we'll start the review. We have 14C 28-inch steel, a favorite of mine, with full tank construction, a 3.7-inch usable blade, 1/8 inch thick rounded spine, true Scandi ground at roughly 13 to 14 degrees per side. There may be some slight convexing at the edge, but discerning a micro bevel is a bit difficult. It has micarta handles and a simple kydex sheath with a belt clip that can accommodate a tech lock. It weighs 4.9 ounces naked, 7.6 ounces with the sheath. After 3 readings, the HRC here is rounded to 59. Let's talk fit and finish and ergonomics and design. Fit and finish is excellent. Everything is even, flush, consistent, and without gaps. The sheath fits snugly and it has a nice snap. As far as E&D, you have a great blade shape here. The handle is just the right length. It's grippy, it's comfortable due to well-rounded edges on the micarta. The handle is narrower than some bushcrafters are going to want to see. They tend to like fatter, rounder handles for push cutting and carving. The Tang is proud of the handles, a very small amount, but well-rounded and reasonably comfortable. This is a very common finding in low-end budget-type knives. I personally consider it to be undesirable. Many bushcrafters look for a knife that can strike a fire steel, so incorporating a rounded spine into a bushcraft-type blade feels, air quotes, gutsy. There's some nice jimping on the spine. I'm not sure how bushcrafters feel about jimping. There's extra jimping down here at the butt end or the pommel of the knife, and what does that do? I don't know. Speaking of I don't know what type of handle fasteners these are, but most screwdrivers won't be able to tackle them. They didn't send a tool with the knife, so it'll take extra effort to swap out the handles and keep your fasteners from getting marked up. Sounds good. So far I got a 9 out of 10 for fit and finish. Ergonomic and design, I'm going to give it a 6. For testing, I decided to sharpen the blade on my fixed angle sharpener. As you can see, this edge was put on with a stone because it's concave there. It sort of dips in and you just end up sharpening the sides. So I eventually gave up on that and just went to stropping up to 2000 grit on some sandpaper, which, I know puts a little mild convex on there, but I think it came with one anyway. Our first test is the sheath drop test, where we drop it from waist or counter height about 25 times to see if the sheath holds up and if the knife is ejected. Ejected one time. A small little wobble in it, but it's still pretty tight. For handle durability, we smack each side with this ball peen hammer 25 times to see if it cracks or breaks. Back to the scorecard, the sheath had one failure to retain, but the handles did really well. For edge retention, we cut through this 1-inch hemp rope until the knife can no longer cut efficiently or it snags on paper. Yeah, it starts out pretty strong, but does it finish that way? No, it doesn't. I went straight to 8 cuts because it was doing so well through the rope, but it's actually snagging paper. So I'm going to have to run back and do a second test, you'll see here in a second, and test it more frequently. And here we actually get 7 cuts. 7 is where it would have stopped. Yeah, that's hanging up too. For edge durability, I baton against the grain through this dried cedar, and we see how many times it can cut through before snagging on paper. I think average is probably around 5 or 6. Sorry about the focus on my camera, you guys. It just goes nuts. It has a mind of its own sometimes. Yeah, we're going to stop after 4 cuts here. Held just right in the light, you can see that glinting there. That's where it was catching the paper. Under our microscope, the edge starts clean there at the bottom, but as we push up, things get a little ratty. This is that glinting area right here. Scorecard, we have 7 cuts through the 1-inch hemp rope. I'm going to take a look more at that here in just a second, and then 4 cuts through the wood, which is pretty mediocre. Tip retention is perfect, so now it's time for my death balls. In the death balls, we drop a 7.9 ounce and then a 22.4 ounce ball bearing through a 5-foot tube down onto the edge of the knife at an angle to see if it deforms or chips. We do expect deformation. We do expect knife destruction. You have to decide if this test is useful to you or not. So I am dropping it a third time because the knife chipped on the first big ball drop, and I want to see if it does it again or if that was a fluke. But I thought I recorded this up close. I guess I didn't, so I'll have to live with this picture. But the small ball did its normal deformation, indention type of thing. We see that all the time with knives with the small ball. The large ball on the first drop did chip it out. That's a straight up chip out. On the second ball, we just have a larger deformation, indention, sort of like the small ball, but a little bit bigger. I don't like to see the chipping with the big ball, but remember how thin that edge is with that Scandi grind. In this case, it doesn't worry me. So we got a pass on the small ball. I think it did fine on that test, and then tip retention was perfect. So this is what I was alluding to earlier with edge retention through the hemp rope. We're going to regrind it. We're going to give it a primary and secondary bevel like a saber grind, so it'll be nice and thin behind the edge and have a 17 degree per side edge angle, and see if we can get the steel to perform a little better through 1-inch hemp rope. Let me still frame this so we can talk about it. So behind the edge there now it's 20 thou because it's got a primary bevel and a secondary bevel like a saber grind, as you can see. That 50 thou mark there, that's the old Scandi grind. That's where that was. And in the Scandi grind, that was 125 thou thick there. Now it's down to 50 thou. So I think we're gonna have a lot better edge geometry for slicing. So we have a 17 degree per side, 34 degree all-inclusive standard secondary edge bevel with a pretty reasonably thin behind the edge thickness on a saber grind. We're going to compare that to the Scandi grind and see how it does through this rope. I think it'll do a lot better. So we're going to get 10 cuts here. That's a big improvement over the Scandi geometry with the same hardness, same steel. Still not very good for this type of steel or any really type of stainless. It's still sort of a marginal result. So what's my conclusion? Well, I can't tell you how to feel or think about a knife, but here I go. So the scorecard numbers are not great, but this is a budget knife. I can't tell you if it's good at bushcrafting because I don't bushcraft. So for me to do some feather sticking, make a tent peg, and then tell you how well it carves would be a little bit silly. For all I know, it's excellent at bushcrafting. But here's what I can say. I like the blade shape, the fact that it's stainless, and the fit and finish very much. There are some design issues. Handle fasteners should be more accessible, and I gather bushcrafters may want thicker handle scales for push cutting and a flat spine for ferro rods. Edge retention through rope was very modest for this steel, likely due to its geometry as demonstrated in its sub 60 HRC. Now I think it was probably left that soft to prevent chipping because of its narrow 13 degree per side Scandi ground apex, 13 to 14 degree per side. The edge durability with batoning against the grain was just okay, but acceptable to me personally. The Bushcut's performance on these tests would, I think, generously be described as mediocre. That said, if you think it will perform well at your bushcrafting tasks and the design issues mentioned don't bother you, then it's probably a reasonable value at its current price of $69. You guys have a good one.